Since Elden Ring's release on February 25th, it has sold over 17.5 million copies and has recently claimed the revered title of 2022's Game of the Year. This open-world action RPG adventure is a captivating work of art in both its aesthetic and mechanical design. The visuals, soundtrack, story, combat, and traversal mechanics all hold a depth that is stunningly beautiful, remaining loyal, and enhancing the overall experience presented to the player. More and more fans have begun to speculate about a possible future DLC for this FromSoft masterpiece. Some fans speculate that the story hints toward a future content release, while others believe that the free Colosseum DLC is all the content that was planned. I have reason to believe that we should be expecting more paid content to come. Join me as we explore questions still to be answered, community speculations, and hints from FromSoft that they may have left us about a future DLC. Before we hop into the video, if you would all take a few minutes to click the like button and subscribe if you already haven't done so, I would greatly appreciate it. This video took time to research, script, edit, and produce, and as I've said before, the YouTube algorithm doesn't seem to favor this channel, so any help from the audience would truly mean the most. Thank you. A few questions are worth considering when speculating future content DLCs. First is the timeline of when we should expect the content drop, and second, how many DLCs we can predict will be released. While we have no solid information to go on, we can certainly look at previous entries in the Soulsborne franchise for clues. Minus Demon Souls, every other entry in the Soulsborne series has received at least one big content DLC. Dark Souls received one DLC through Artorias of the Abyss. Dark Souls 2 received 3 DLCs through Crown of the Sunken King, Crown of the Old Iron King, and Crown of the Ivory King. Bloodborne had 1 DLC through the Old Hunters, and Dark Souls 3 had 2 DLCs through Ashes of Ariandel and the Ring City. From this information alone, we can easily predict a few things. The first is that Elden Ring will receive at least one major content DLC, and possibly a second. The second is that Elden Ring should release a DLC during the second half of 2023. The third is that we can expect the content of this DLC to surround one of the minor characters from the overall story. Time travel is a mechanic we already have present in the Elden Ring universe. We see this mechanic employed during our entry to Dragon Plusudasax's boss fight. I speculate that the Elden Ring DLC may utilize time travel. This may even alter an existing boss that we have currently in base game. This could be much like our interaction with Sif in Dark Souls when the character has already completed certain points in the DLC prior to the encounter. Looking at the trends of previous FromSoft games and the lore currently presented in Elden Ring, I speculate that the future DLC will feature or center around one of the 3 following characters: Godwyn the Golden, Miquella, or Queen Marika. The player never directly interacts with Godwyn throughout the story, making his lore easy to miss. He is an incredibly important character of the story and the indirect cause of the shattering that made the entire plot happen in the first place. Godwyn is the firstborn son of Marika and Godfrey during the early part of Marika's divine rule. Godwyn's the only non-omen son of Marika, which makes him special. He was called Godwyn the Golden, and is the progenitor of what people in the Lands of Between called the Golden Line. Before Marika ruled the Lands of Between belonged to the dragons. Due to this, the dragons attacked the Erd Tree. It was Godwyn who put a stop to Fortisax. This earned the respect of the dragons, and they left the Erd Tree alone ever since. The demigod was assassinated by the Numens in a plot orchestrated by his half-sister Ranni. Ranni stole parts of the Rune of Death and imbued the weapons of the assassins so that Godwyn could be killed. The reason Ranni had Godwyn killed was for a ritual. She wanted to destroy her body, but preserve her soul in a doll. This way she could escape her destiny and not be bound by the greater will like the rest of her family. This is the catalyst that made the plot of Elden Ring begin. I envision a DLC surrounding Godwyn to be probable. I'm not sure if time travel would be used for the story expansion, however it would be an interesting story nonetheless. Miquella the Unalloyed is a demigod Empyrean and twin brother of Malenia. He and his sister were the children of Queen Marika and Radagon. Miquella, like his twin sister, was born cursed. While Malenia was born with rot in her body, Miquella was cursed with the body of a perpetually young child. Malenia regarded him as the most fearsome Empyrean. At some point, Miquella started watering a sapling with his own blood and hoped that it would become an Erd Tree. The sapling grew on top of a city and became known as the Halig Tree. Miquella tried to embed himself within the Halig Tree, but could not finish the process. His half-brother Mog cut the tree open and abducted him sleeping, wishing to raise him into full godhood and become his consort and a monarch. Despite Mog's efforts, Miquella remained completely unresponsive and stayed asleep in his cocoon. I believe a DLC surrounding the story to be the most interesting. We would be granted more knowledge about the roles of the Empyreans from a lore perspective, and possibly get the opportunity to fight what Melania regarded as someone stronger than herself. In adult form, Mikola could possibly be the strongest person in Elden Ring canon. Many fans have speculated about the true story behind Melina, one of the most mysterious characters in Elden Ring. She serves as a guide to the player throughout the game's narrative, even giving our character Torrent the Spirit Steed. If the player allows Melina to ignite the Erd Tree, she will meet her end. However, if the player ignites the tree through finding the 3 fingers and acquiring the Frenzy Flame, she will be spared. Following this path leads to an ominous ending where Melina reveals a new form to us through a cutscene. There's more to be seen with her character yet, however, do not believe that she will be the primary focus of a future DLC. Queen Marika, the Eternal, is the reigning sovereign of the Lands Between, and the vessel for the Elden Ring. Her offspring possesses demigod status, and are the bearers of great runes. The goddess Marika originally came to the lands from Numen. She was an Emvirian who ascended to godhood and became the ruler of the Lands Between with the assistance of an outer god known as the Greater Wheel. Marika had a male self by the name of Radagon. The exact nature of their relationship is unclear, but while the two had separate wills, they were in truth one and the same. Desiring a world free of destined death, she removed the Rune of Death from the Elden Ring and gave it to her Shadow Malekith to guard it. After the death of her son Godwyn, Marika finally turned against the Greater Will. She lifted her hammer and shattered the Elden Ring. The Greater Will imprisoned her in the Erd Tree along with Radagon. The two bound together in a single body, and even in shackles, Marika remained a god. Depending on the choices the character makes throughout the story, you can ultimately either fix the Elden Ring within Marika, become a consort to Ranni and in the Golden Order, or cause the whole world to burn. I believe undoubtedly Marika will be the central theme to the DLC for this game. The Lands Between is not all there is to the greater world of Elden Ring. Marika is a character at the center of this giant lore-filled web. We still have several questions yet to be answered about the Numens, a story that Marika's background would grant us insight to. No matter what the future DLC holds, I look forward to it with great optimism. I cannot wait to see whatever bosses, weapons, and story FromSoft come up with. I love this game, and I love the community surrounding it. I invite you all to let me know what your thoughts and speculations are in the comment section below. Share this video with your Elden Ring friends. This is the Methodical Gamer. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time. Peace.